So our next session is Shyamala Prayaga, who's a product owner and autonomous digital assistant. As product owner for the autonomous digital assistant, Shyamala currently leads the company-wide Ford autonomous digital assistant innovation for voice and chatbots by owning the roadmap and overall, there's a pun, Ford Motors owning the roadmap of overall vision and working with the cross-functional teams to bring that vision to reality. She is a self-driven evangelist for UX and voice technology and recognizes the societal and cultural benefits of voice tech evolution. She possesses the insight and knowledge that comes with experience and leadership from her technical development and design roles. So welcome. Make sure you get you off mute.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you fine. Excellent. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, so today I'm going to talk about the conversational AI in the automotive world. So thank you so much for the introduction, Jeff. My name is Shyamala Prayaga, and you've already covered all of these things. So I'll save time by not saying anything more than what you have said. I'm also the author of Close Call, a memoir, and then Emotionally Engaged Digital Assistant and Humanizing Privacy are my two books coming up pretty soon. So that's a little bit more about me. So when I am not working, I love gardening a lot, and organic gardening is my passion. So on the top, you see my outdoor garden and the produces from the garden, and the bottom image is my hydroponic garden, which means that I just grow my fruits and vegetables during winter when it is snowing here, just using water. But we are not going to talk about it today here. Maybe I'll save this for some other topic. So let's get into the topic. So digital assistants, voice assistants are everywhere. We have been using it for quite a few years, I would say now, ever since Siri was launched in 2012, Alexa was launched in 2014, there has been a traction. We're not only using it as a smart speaker at home or a smartphone, but we are also using it in a lot of appliances nowadays as well. And you can see smart refrigerators, smart ovens, microwaves, and all sorts of things. So voice assistants are also being used outside of just the home setup. And automotive is a great example for that. So automotive is has been there for a very long time, right? I mean, the cars have been there for 100 plus years. But if you look at the history, cars back then were just a mode of transport from point A to point B. People just wanted to go. That's it. It was a mode of transport. But as the technology has evolved, there's more need, more expectations. And thanks to all this high tech, Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, our smartphones, and the apps we have, that people are expecting the same kind of experience even in cars nowadays. They want it to be more connected. They want to have these big touch screens. They want to have voice assistants in the car and everything they want to do with the assistants. So if you look at this is, the statistics or data from voicebot.ai. So if you look at the voice assistant adoption curve, so we started from, like many years back when the voice assistant started. From that stage to now, the voice assistants in the smart speakers, smartphones, and cars have reached the early majority, which means almost every person have tried it in the car. Some are regular active users who are using it. So there's a lot of momentum even in the voice adoption in the car, and there are a lot of different kind of use cases where it is being used. So this statistics again is a little old from last year, but then there's a significant number of population who have used voice assistant in last year. Almost like 129.7 million people have used voice assistants in the car, and some of them are daily users, some of them are monthly users. If you look at the voice assistants, there are a lot of different kind of setup which is done in the car. It could be your own assistant or co-creation, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But then there has been a significant population of people who have either tried using Android Auto or CarPlay, or have streamed using a Bluetooth. And there's a 33.2% population who wants or who have used the voice assistants in the car. So there are a lot of different kind of permutations and combinations as to like what people expect in the car. And if you look at the domains, there have been a lot of different kind of domains, which have been tried. Some of them are pretty mature, some of them do not have as much adoption. Making a phone call, asking for directions, sending text messages, music or radio station, these are some use cases which are being used a lot. The others, like general knowledge, weather, asking a restaurant and other things, are still very less in terms of usage. And part of the reason could be because they're not as natural as they have to be. Maybe some of these assistants are off board, and that could be on board, sorry, without connectivity. So that could be the reason why there's a little bit of mismatch here. People have also tried smart home controls and voice shopping in the car as well, which means like there are some people curious to try these kind of things. If you look at the history, however, it's not that voice assistants are in the car just now. They have been in the car ever since like 2005. So Honda Acura was the first brand to introduce voice assistants in the car. Although it was not very natural, but it used to do certain things like navigation and stuff. And after Honda, Lexus was the second car to introduce, or second company to introduce voice assistants in the car, just to do some things with the navigation and points of interest. And Ford was the third brand with its Ford Sync, which was a partnership with Microsoft and Ford. Ford was the third company to introduce voice assistants in the car. Again, it was just for basic navigations and stuffs like that. And after that, 2013, Skoda came. So if you look, even before Siri was launched or even before Alexa came, car was one of the main place where voice assistants were tried and implemented, although none of them got a lot of traction. And part of the reason is, in the automotive world, a lot of what we do is dependent on the technology, the architecture. There are a lot more complexities and stuffs like that. And back then, there were no connectivity in the vehicle. So all of those plays a major role how the experiences actually is being designed. But if you look now, it's a completely different kind of dynamics. So with all of these things, one biggest problem, like I mentioned, was the limited natural language understanding. So most of the cars, the previous versions of the cars, used to work this way, where you have to say like, call the user, or just say music or FM 89.1. You cannot just say I want to listen to radio, or can you just play some jazz music for me, or something like that. They were not natural at all. And like I mentioned, part of the reason is the technology limitations which we have. The second thing is, because there's no user profiling or things like that, it becomes very difficult to just create contextual understanding or anything. So we depend on too many settings from the user, like just make settings like how long do you want the prompt to be, how short do you want it to be, what volume do you want a voice prompt for songs, do you want it for navigation, blah, blah, blah. So there's too many settings for the users. And then because if you look at any non-luxury cars, there's very limited personalization available. There may be some personalization depending on how costly your car is and what kind of features do you have. But again, there's very limited personalization, but we all know that it's not how it works. And now with Alexa, Siri, Google Assistants, and also, what we see in the media world, we are expecting our assistant to be more dependable. We want it to be more human-like. So that's where the industry is heading. So of course, that has put in a lot of pressure in the automotive world as well, where OEMs are expected to have the same level of experience when they are designing voice assistants. They need to have a more robust kind of strategy in place. And with that being said, people are expecting more intelligent digital assistants in the car, where there's a user, there is a vehicle, there are a lot of integrations. So users want to use whatever they use in their home to be able to be connected. So they want to control their home security system in the car, or they want to be able to continue playing the music they were playing at home in the car. So there's a lot of these kind of expectations which is pushing this industry forward, and a lot is being done. And that is where companies have started to think about more advanced vehicle, and this is Sync 4, which we worked on. And Sync 4 is more heading towards the next gen kind of thing, where we have more multiple user profiles, so making it recognizing who the user is and being able to make the experience more personalized. We are making the the assistant more conversational. We are also making it multilingual so that anyone is able to use it. We're also looking at the multimodal interactions, and also looking at how we can make it more connected, more predictable and have multiple wake up words, because not everyone wants to use the same wake up word. So there's a lot being done where the industry is trying to push, and we have been trying to do a lot in this. If you look from the use case standpoint, what we have been looking at mainly is these are some critical. There are bare minimum things like calling and messaging and all of those things, which is of course there. But these are some use cases which I would say, a lot of people are desiring in their car, like owner's manual or vehicle maintenance. So being able to just, we all know owner's manual in the car is always there in the glove box. No one actually goes and looks for a owner's manual if there's a flat tire or something like that. We either call someone or we look up onto our YouTube videos or something like that. So that is the reason why having it voice enabled, like how do I change my tire, where's the cruise control, or things like that makes more sense through voice. And then vehicle maintenance, if you have a more customized experience, if the vehicle already knows about your vehicle, your mileage, and when you are due or something like that, you should be able to schedule appointments just using voice, like, okay, when is my appointment due, or I want to schedule a maintenance or something along those lines. Now vehicle is used a lot for driving, whether it is local or whether it is that you have rented a car and want to use it outside of your city. So tour guide again is a very cool use case we've been looking at, where you can just use it for finding, like, what is that monument on the left hand side, or what is this building, or something along those lines. And some of those could be proactive, which we are still testing. And I don't know how much proactive users want. That is something we are testing. Like, do people just want the assistant to start talking, like, on your right is the Golden Gate Bridge, or something like that. So we're still experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't. But then there's one more, which is point of interest. Of course, finding a Starbucks or finding a place of interest and things like that is still the most desired use case in the vehicle and most used use case in the vehicle. Now, uh, there are different ways the implementations in the cars are being done now. If we start to think about it, custom assistance is one approach the automotive industry is taking. And the benefit we get with the custom assistant is that, well, you have your own personal assistant, you have your own branded voice assistant, which is able to do a lot of things the users desire and expect. Now, the challenge and drawback is we are trying to reinvent the wheel and do a lot of things. Like, we need to have the users' preferences, we need to have a lot of things the users like users calendar probably, or their music, or all those kind of things. So there's a lot of these kind of things which may be tricky at some point if we start to think about it from the experience standpoint. Like, users don't desire to give all of the information to everything. So that is where the automotive industry is looking at not just having one assistant, but having multiple assistant strategies. So custom assistants are there in most of the companies, if not all. Most of the automotive OEMs have their own custom assistant. The other thing is third party assistants. So there's partnership with Alexa, where people are, Ford has also done some partnership where you can have Ford and Alexa app in the car. So you are still able to connect your Alexa in the vehicle, get all of the things you do with your Alexa at home, and leverage the same kind of features in the car, and have your own data and your personalized preferences as well. Then the other is coexistence. So you must have seen this thing. Many cars now have the Android Auto and CarPlay. What that means is you can just, using your Bluetooth, you can just connect to your Siri, or just go, simulate the Siri experience in the car HMI or the Android Auto. So when you're doing that, you are able to use your in-phone assistant as well. So with the iPhone comes Siri, and with Android comes Google Assistant. So you are still able to use your assistants like that as well. And then the next is the bring your own assistant strategy, where people are able to just bring their voice assistant in the car, like the Alexa Auto puck devices like these, and just connect it in the car and use it the way they use. So there are different ways the auto industry is looking at how they want to leverage voice assistants in the car. And most of these are being tried. Most of these are being done in conjunction where the user have too many options to choose from. They can either go with one, or they can have all of those options available, and they can decide what they want to do. As we start to think about autonomous vehicles, we'll have to redefine how the voice assistants work in the car. There's a lot of work being done in this space, which I'm part of. And so there's a growth, I would say, and I would say a lot of opportunities there when it comes to voice in the car. Especially autonomous opens up a lot more opportunities. And as we start to think about the future, we don't know what it will be, whether it will be coexistence, whether it will be arbitration, or where the industry is heading. But definitely, we are, as any other industry, the auto industry is also pushing the boundaries and making sure that we are in the right direction to do the right thing and give the best user experience to the user. And with that, I conclude my talk and open to any questions.
There you go. Thank you. That was fabulous. I have some questions. Is this just about moving the mobile phone features into mobility, or is it something more?
That's a great question. And I would say it is more than that. It's not just, replicating what you already have on your smartphone into the car, right? That is, yes, there's a desire, but that does not mean everything you do on the phone is relevant in the car, right? Maybe my fitness apps does not make sense when I'm in the car. So it doesn't really make sense. So there has to be,
That could be a
there,
problem. Yeah.
yeah, so there has to be a strategy which is like relevant, and that is why, well, yeah, music totally makes sense, navigation totally makes sense, or a voice assistant gives a lot of opportunities, right? So when you are driving in the vehicle, whoever drives, they know, how frustrating it is trying to touch or do some things, and I'm one of those users. When I'm driving, that is when I will remember, oops, I did not connect. I'm not the person who would do everything in the beginning. Like, although during the driving test, I did everything in the beginning, like, whatever is expected to. But in real world, I don't do that. So in real world, I would not stay for a few minutes and connect the navigation system and connect my Bluetooth and everything. And then I will say, like, yes, I'm good to go. So many people are like me who would not do that. And now all of a sudden, when you are on your route, you would realize, like, oh, I want to listen to music. Now the Bluetooth is not connected. And you start fiddling around with the HMI system, the human machine interface system. And all of a sudden, there will be a screen which says, like, okay, for your safety, the screen has been disabled because you have
Yeah.
touched too many things. You are over speeding, or you're already, below, above the speed limits, or something along those lines. So how comfortable it is just to use voice and say connect my Bluetooth, or how comfortable it is to say, like, okay, hey, just play this music for me on Bluetooth, or something along those lines. So you don't have to do anything, and you can be more specific with your phone. Now that it is connected, you can say just play this music on Spotify. Now your Spotify is connected through your phone, so you don't have to worry about any of those things. So you're not replicating the experience, you are leveraging whatever you have in your phone to enhance the experiences, so that we're not just reinventing the wheel, we are giving you the comfort and flexibility.
Right. So it is about the mobility, leveraging the mobile, which does make some sense. There are some synergies there, clearly.
There are
Um,
definitely, yeah.
um, Doing things that you can do on your feet, doing them on wheels. Uh, is there something? And not trying to put you on the spot here. I'm literally trying to think of what those things would be. Uh, and I'm guilty of, right, having cars from the 50s and cars from the latest, and the cars from the 50s go, this is perfectly okay with me. This is an experience. And then getting into the modern vehicle and going, this is okay with me too. This is right. Um, what, again, not trying to put you on the spot, but what would some of the features be that would be unique to mobility?
So there are, depending on, so see, I would say depending on the different kind of things what we are doing, it could be different. If it is ownership based vehicle, like your own car, then it's completely different, right? I mean, like maintenance was one of the things I spoke about, where
Yeah.
it's not just about calling or things like that, but yeah, I should be able to quickly, the vehicle already knows about my route, the vehicle already knows how much kilometers I have driven. I don't need to maintain an appointment system where I know, like, okay, or I remember with my Honda, I used to have this every
The
time we went
Honda?
for mint. Yeah. I mean, it was
How
before
did you
I
get?
joined Ford.
All right.
Disclaimer. Before I joined Ford. So every time we used to go for maintenance, he would give a card and he would say that your next appointment is on this day. And then, we always used to look up to those kind of things. Now, and I was like, okay, we don't want to miss that note. So it was very frustrating, but that is what we used to look up to. Now, imagine I can just say, like, hey, my vehicle has some issues. I want to schedule a maintenance, or, just get a reminder about, your maintenance is coming up pretty soon, or things like that. It's so cool. I don't have to do anything. The assistant is, what does the meaning of assistant mean? Like, it's helping you in whatever way it can. So, how comfortable it will be just to be able to do those kind of things, where vehicle is telling you. And also, although I drive, if tomorrow my vehicle stops somewhere, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to change the tire or anything of that sort. So, I'm like looking up to my husband to help with these things, or calling, like someone else. So, assistants could be of so much help during those things, not just, helping you with the driving, but also guiding you, like, hey, it's very simple, this is what we can do. These are few options available to you during emergencies as well. And we've been working with what three word for some collaboration on some test projects and stuff like that. So it's a great use case. So what three words is nothing, they have broken the entire world into 100 by 100
Yeah, no,
centimeters, I guess. Yeah,
they
and small.
they sit right over here. Yeah,
Oh,
I know them
amazing.
well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so we
I
have
can't
a
remember
test.
my three words, but I
Yeah,
did
so every area is divided into three words, right? So imagine if the vehicle got into some sort of accident, and it's very difficult to know where it is because it was somewhere in the jungle or somewhere, where no one can reach. And now all of a sudden the voice assistant is able to send those three words to someone else, who can help and come and help, or things like that. It could be amazing kind of system out there, which can not only enable mobility in different situations, but also help with these kind of emergency situations as well. So there are these kind of different use cases which we've been looking at, which can improve or enable mobility more and more as well.
yeah, yeah,
Now this may
yeah.
completely change. This may completely change in a ownership ridership based vehicle, where like Uber or something along those lines, right? Where this is not your own vehicle, but you are just a passenger there for a couple of hours, but you still want to use a voice assistant.
Right. Shared mobility and shared vehicles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you set up my next question well. Thank you. Because you did mention maintenance. Um, Now, certainly the car can tell you right front tire needs air, right? Or in 2,000 miles, take it in for the oil change or whatever, right? The routine maintenance that you can find in your handbook that nobody looks at. I looked at it. I look at it. But what is, yeah, I'm the minority. But what is AI's role in projecting or predicting repairs?
So that's a great point. And see, there are too many things here, like predicting repairs. It depends if those are small repairs versus complex ones or things like that. Uh, AI is able to now do a lot of things, provided it has the right kind of data and is trained properly with the clean data, right? So definitely it is able to know, like, okay, the tire is flat, or something else is going
Yeah,
on, or so you are able to get those kind of things now. It's not a problem. The prediction part is there, contextual part is there, where AI is also able to understand contextually what's happening, and we talk about this a lot when we are talking about use cases, like maybe you are driving to office, and you have a specific route you always take, right? And today maybe there was traffic, along the way, and you're running, and it already knows you already have a meeting, and now instead of taking you to that route, it rerouted and told you like, hey, there's traffic ahead and you're running late for your meeting, so I rather took this one. So those kind of things is where the assistant can help. Predicting, yeah, if it is able to predict the flat tire, maybe it can say like, okay, looks like there's low, and you already get that information. If there is like low tire pressure or something, you already get that
Yeah, you
information
get that.
on
Yeah.
your dashboard, right? Or your cluster. So leveraging those things, we can definitely be proactive and say like, looks like there's some, you are low on gas, or maybe you have low tire pressure, so maybe you should be looking up for maintenance. Do you want me to schedule? So these are the kind of proactive things where assistant can be helpful. But whatever predictions we are doing should be helpful for the user. It's not like panic mode, like, okay, there's flat tire and now I don't know what to do. So there has to be a proper strategy in place, like why
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are
What do you
doing
do
that.
next? Yeah, what do you do next? Yeah. So thank you very much. That was really interesting. Cars are near and dear to my heart. So
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I assume that you had to get rid of the Honda before you started at Ford.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.